and this person ranting at dinner about how we must stop people from radicalizing on YouTube.
They were doing a pretty good job of stopping people on YouTube at that point too. You're gonna hate me. It's in the top left corner. I swear to God, I look like 4 times. Oh my God. Well, we're here, and
Took a while.
Boomer Dale finally figured out where the record button is. And I feel like I do this every time we record. And then I'm like, I'll remember for next time. I'm not a complete asshole idiot, dumb brain. Turns out I might be. I might be a total asshole idiot, dumb brain. Which, as far as nicknames go, that's pretty good.
What what are you gonna do when your chest hair starts to creep up towards your neck? Did you shave?
No,
Facts.
that's
It's
that's that's as much creeping as this boy's chest hair does. None. Wow. If you look
it's
real close, you can see patches.
gonna catch up with you eventually. I have like a pelt.
Nice.
One time I found a brownie in my chest hair.
Really? Like a brownie? Like
Yeah,
a
like a
brownie?
no, Dale. Jesus Christ, that's
Like
disgusting.
a me?
It's a chocolate brownie with walnuts.
And no marijuana?
Oh, I see what you're getting at.
What'd you think I meant?
I thought
Like
you were suggesting that like
a visibly ethnic
I'd ha
person?
allowed a midget to shit on my chest.
Yes, that was my first thought. You're like, I found a brownie in my chest. I was like, oh, Adrian just lets people shit on his chest now. I mean, I
Little
don't.
little people.
Apparently I'm too pure for this podcast. No, I had to get a tattoo because the chest hair, I'm 46, chest hair wasn't coming. So I was like, why don't I just get a sweet tattoo so it pokes up out the polo?
Why wouldn't you get a tattoo with some chest hair?
That
Like
was that would
I
have been
visited.
a lot easier and less painful.
You're what? How tall are you?
6 foot.
Because if you wanted to be taller, what you do is you get like a full body tattoo of yourself, but 6'1".
Okay. That sounds good.
What do you call people that are in like are 26, 27 years old now? Are those Zoomers?
Um, fuck. I have to do math to figure it out. Okay. So I'm the last Gen Xer. So that's
And I'm the first.
1980 to 1995 is millennial. Then Gen Z is 95 to 2010.
Oh,
So that would be up to 16 years. Yeah, 16 to 31, 41 or whatever
yeah, okay.
is
Those are
Zoomers.
okay. Well, my son's 15, so what does that make him?
Gen Alpha.
He's an alpha.
Yeah.
He's also a really good jester.
Omega.
So I work with a bunch of people in their Zoom age people,
Yeah.
and they speak candidly, openly, and frequently about their like bodily functions.
Oh yeah, dude.
In a
Gen
way,
Zoomers are just like Gen Xers. Because
I don't.
millennials were all the uptight ones whose Gen X parents decided that their parents were dickheads and were gonna give them a soft hand. And then Zoomers are like pushing back. They're like the pushback on the subtle, nice politeness.
It's really easy to hate millennials, and believe me, I do. But I have some sympathy because I noticed one of the first things I ever noticed about millennials was that the language they used it indicated quite clearly that they had completely internalized a corporate worldview.
Well,
Because for Generation X, at least we still had you had, it wasn't an entirely corporate world at all. I mean, it
yeah.
became increasingly so as we got older. But then millennials come along, and that's all they know, and that's why they would go around talking about, for instance, their brand. That really struck me the first time I heard that. Someone describing their brand, meaning, the fucking hat they wore or whatever.
Yeah. Well, I think what it is too is Gen Xers, like we saw the uptight generation and how stuff didn't work, and it's like, well, stuff doesn't work if you're uptight, so we're gonna let loose. And then millennials saw us Gen Xers just fucking letting loose and being wild, and they're like, all right, that didn't work, so we're gonna button it up again. And then Gen Z is like, all right, the millennials buttoned it up, and then we still got fucked, so we're just gonna like let loose. So it's just cyclical every
Yeah,
15 years, like. You just hope you get in the fun generation and not the buttoned up generation.
it's hammer and cyclical. I don't know that the millennials were all that buttoned up. I mean, they seemed to, well, yeah, what they did is they like systematized everything. Like Generation X, let's take for example, sex.
Hmm.
We did it. We had a lot of it. It was, it was a time of relatively free sex, even though
Yeah.
we were all scared of getting the AIDS. None of us did.
Hmm.
But the millennials seem to be even more licentious and more, let's say, Catholic in their sexual activities.
Well, you
But
also
but they
gotta,
had to fucking they had to do it all through apps. They
well,
had
you
to
gotta,
fucking they had to monetize it. Also, they
yeah.
came up with words like monetize.
Well, you also have to accept that millennials are now 45 years old. So they're 30 to 45 years old. So that's the management class. So they're the fucking ones who were like trying to in their like early to mid 30s 10 years ago were trying to like get local fucking systems and all that stuff and like pronouns and stuff. It was all their fault because they were
Yeah.
just getting to the bottom of the management chain and they were like trying to make it so that they could clean the world into a better place in front of them, and they just didn't
Well,
accept that they might have had the wrong ideas and that
that's right.
people
That's what.
older than actually knew stuff.
Sure. I think that's actually a very good point. But again, I'm gonna extend a little bit of sympathy here because, whatever they thought they were doing, they didn't realize that they were being compelled to do that,
Oh yeah, they were being
in all sorts
controlled
in
by,
covert ways they couldn't
yeah.
possibly understand
Yeah, they
and
didn't
still
wrap their
don't.
minds around how DEI was just a money grab pretty much for
Well, I think it's
hedge
more than
funds.
that. I think, well, sure, yeah, but I think it's also a way of further atomizing and fracturing society, which is
Oh
good.
yeah.
Same moneyed interests.
Hmm.
I got to tell you this though, because I had a real interesting episode this morning. It's a beautiful
Like
day here on my island. I live on an island. It's
what do you
beautiful.
mean by episode? Like you had a stroke or you were like an old person thing or
Well, Dale, I am pushing 60 years old, and I'm in that. I'm coming. Well, actually, no. Now it's just young people that are having strokes and heart attacks.
that's true. It's because of all the
Experts
chemicals in the food, and it's
experts
because
are baffled. It's not fucking chemicals in the food. That's
it's
one part of it.
glyphosate. It's all glyphosate. They
It's not
introduced
all
glyphosate into wheat in
glyphosate.
2004. Our bodies
It's
were just old enough to be able to accept it.
it's mostly it's
Anybody younger
mostly
can handle
it's
the
mostly
glyphosate.
the things that
That's
you're
why butt
not.
cancer is spreading. It's glyphosate.
It's
It's all
mostly the things you're
glyphosate.
not allowed to talk about.
It's all Roundup,
Which, who's the
which
guy
is
from
owned by
Greenpeace?
Monsanto. Did you know? You know what I found out?
Patrick, you remember Patrick Moore?
No.
Patrick Moore was one of the founding members of Greenpeace, and then he like completely 180'd and became like a mouthpiece for corporate agriculture, and he
Oh
was a
yeah,
big defender of glyphosate, still
because he
is.
got a paycheck.
And then he was on some talk show, and they gave him like a glass of Roundup or whatever, and said, "Drink it then if it's so safe."
Yeah.
And he's like, "No." But here's my point. This morning I was out there. I was like, "Hey, come here, Annie." It's my wife. I said, I love my wife.
I mean, that's good. It's better than.
No, but I mean, I can't imagine life without her. She's everything to
Oh,
me. But
oh.
we
And tomorrow's
disagree about a
Mother's
lot of
Day.
things. And she thinks, we fight bitterly over all sorts of topics. But she read this piece in the Globe and Mail last week, and she comes to me. She said, "I read this piece in the Globe and Mail. It's all about the stuff they're spraying in our skies."
Oh my
And
God.
it's like the Dickens, you say, because now she's been losing me.
Did they call it chemtrails in the article or
No,
no?
of course not. Of course
Hmm.
not. And it was I can't. I would have to. go and actually read it and paraphrase it. But what I got from Annie sounded pretty familiar. It's like this is the thing is it's one of those subjects. We don't use the C word. We call it, let's call it aerosol spraying or geoengineering, which is all very real and has been around
Hmm.
for a long time. If you use the C word, then people don't want to hear. But this is part of like the slow disclosure of something that's been going on for a long time because it's becoming too big of a topic, right?
Yeah.
It's like normies are starting to notice,
Hmm.
and which is
And
always
they're
the way it
like,
goes. Like if, at some point, like all of these forbidden subjects become, they reach a sort of a threshold, a maximum, and then the powers that be have to do something. So they start explaining it away through their corporate sort of organs, like the Globe and Mail, like their propaganda outfits. And so anyway, here's my lovely wife saying, "Yeah, so this thing, they're like they're doing these things in the skies." I'm like, "Yeah, I know." Anyway, this morning I look up and there's that ring around the sun that you see when you got
a
a
dog
nice fucking
star.
layer of cam
It's
sitting in the
called a
sky.
dog star.
What is it now?
Or it's called dog something when there's like a ring around the sun. Hold on. I think it's a ring around because dog star is serious. That's like some occult thing. So that might be why that's stuck in my head. But I can't remember what it's called. It's called something. Sorry to
Well, it's
um
fine, really. I mean, it was just we're looking up at it, and it's not. It's like okay, this is someone who was, as many people are, willfully blind to this thing for a very, very long time,
yeah.
and this might be the first time she just kind of looked up and went, "Yeah, that's concerning. What is it?" So whatever. It's a multipolar attack on our health. It's coming from the skies, it's coming up from the ground, it's being injected into
Yeah.
our veins. It's coming through our food supply. This is, the weakening of the populace is a real thing. Catherine Austin Fitts calls it the great poisoning. And if you're listening to this podcast, but you're not listening to Catherine Austin Fitts, my question to you, Pilgrim, is what are you doing?
I'm not listening to it. I got good news on that point.
Okay.
Good news. Rare good news when it comes to American politics. Anna Polina, whatever her face is, one of the weird chicks who's also involved in the UFO disclosure, and
Oh,
she's physically attractive. I don't know if that matters. It does matter in some ways. Anyways, she led like they just passed a farm bill in the States. So I don't know if it's like past the beginning of becoming a law, but not a law yet. But anyways, so they're passing this farm bill, and there was literature in this bill that said that they would give people like fuck like
herpes.
immunity from being sued for using pesticides on foods, and that's why glyphosate was top of mind for me on the tip of my tongue, and I had it in the chamber. But she was actually able to get it, so they took that out of the farm bill. So now companies and the weird like companies won't have immunity for getting sued for when you get butt cancer from eating too much glyphosate. But the weird thing was I
So
just learned
this was
this.
Anna Polina that did this.
Yeah, that's what I said. The sexy one, who's
I
also in the
thought this was
UFO
I
thing.
thought this was AOC's job to get things
No, that
out
yeah,
of the
that's it was AOC's job until she was like, "Oh wait, I want to be
Oh
now
wait,
that
I work for the
fucking
CIA.
yeah." What's that old chick, the stupid chick with the big tits, the old one?
The old stupid chick with the big
She was
tits.
Speaker of the House for a while. I don't know
Oh,
why I can't remember.
Pelosi.
Yeah, Pelosi. Like even though Pelosi totally stabbed AOC in the back and fucked her because AOC was like gonna
Oh,
go
they all
against.
knew what they were doing.
Yeah,
Come
anyways.
on.
So back on track, sorry.
Pelosi
So
did
they're
have big
talking
tits.
about glyphosate because that's the most popular one because it's been in the news because they're paying out tens of billions of dollars for people who are getting sued. But then they're like, "Oh, glyphosates are which is round used most commonly in Roundup." And you're like, "Yeah." So basically it's a herbicide that kills certain weeds and lets plants you like go through. And then they have stuff like Roundup Ready corn, which makes it immune to herbicide, so that can't be good for you. And then the reason I said 2004 earlier was because back on other podcasts, who RFK Jr. brought up on Joe Rogan's podcast that they started spraying wheat right before they harvest it in 2004 with Roundup to make it harden and dry out. So they didn't
Mhm.
have to. Anyway, so it just increased the yield, which would be a good idea because it gives us more wheat. But when did the whole gluten allergy thing kind of round its head up? 22
Yeah,
years ago?
exactly at the same time.
But the thing is, so glyphosate's Roundup that's owned by Monsanto, and recently Monsanto was bought by, and this is how the people who talk about this keep saying they're like a German company named Bayer, and they're like not saying it out loud. You're like, oh, you mean the fucking people who make aspirin? You assholes! Quit pretending like it's some random company you've never fucking heard of. So this is bad because the agricultural industrial complex just got folded into big pharma. So now Bayer, a German company who we're not even going to peel that scab because if you go back into like one of the uh conspiracy theories is that World War II was just fought just to get German pharma into the States with Project Paperclip and all that. I don't want to get into it because I don't know enough about it. But anyways, I was just getting my goat. I'm just calling Bayer a German company. And they're like, oh, it's just this German company I've never heard of. New startup. And you're like, you fucks.
Yeah, that's pretty wild.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, Hawkins Cheesy's got purchased by this American outfit, call themselves Lockheed Martin. You heard
So
of these?
wild.
Have you ever heard of these folks?
So yeah, so it's
What do
good
they
news
do?
that they left that immunity out of the bill, but it's bad news that fucking Bayer owns Monsanto. So that's I want
Yeah, it's
okay.
like that's not a win.
When did Bayer buy Bayer buys? I'm looking up when Bayer bought Monsanto. When did Bayer buy Monsanto? And that is oh, fucking 8 years ago? Where the fuck was I?
8 years ago. How old is the child?
2018. Three.
3. So 8 years ago, you were thinking about how you're going to have a kid in 5 years.
Yeah.
I guess. I don't
I
know.
was paying too much attention to not Monsanto being bought by Bayer. You know what the worst part is? I probably knew and didn't care because I was like, oh, the aspirin company. They're
It
all
is
right.
it is
And
funny how these things come around because Monsanto was a big villain, during the Bush era because, well, for obvious reasons, because they're villainous,
yeah.
but they were present in people's minds because Rumsfeld, I think, sat on the board, right, of Monsanto, and then you had fraudulent leftists like Michael Moore, bringing it. So I'm always suspicious when things are brought to our attention, of course. What were we talking about earlier? About like, okay, glyphosate. I
Yeah.
mean, this is good. I'm glad to hear this. If this is real, I think that good on you, Anna Polina. But what it's the things that we don't know about that aren't being talked about that worry me, which is a great way, by the way, of sending yourself completely crazy.
Oh, yeah. Like, why are they letting us know about this now?
Yeah, right.
What did Bayer do? What? Oh, and it could also be like because it was weird to me that they kept saying German company because nobody's ever called Bayer a German company. But that might have something to do with the current world war or not war and not world war because it's just fucking
Do we agree
military
we're in World
exercise.
War III? We agree that we're in World War III, right? I mean,
Yeah.
going back to Catherine Austin Fitts, that's what she would say. But the war is the ruling class against the rest of us.
And what one of the things is I feel like Germany might go against the states on this. So this is why somebody would say like a German company would want immunity from being sued from pesticides to kind of like, just plant, pun intended, plant the seeds of propaganda in, i.e., German companies are bad because what they're trying to do and what they're trying to get through our I say our legislator when I talk about the states because we're not separate. Anyways, you know what I'm saying? Like, could this be
Yeah.
like magic bean counting to growing into a giant beanstalk of we don't agree with Germany? Because I feel like Germany might side with Russia to get because that's where Europe gets all their energy from, right?
Yeah.
So, what do you
I
think?
love it when you speculate about things neither of us know about.
Yeah, isn't it fun?
We know what we need on this show is the third your show is a third person,
Who
just
knows stuff?
like a clown, like a Fonzie, but who's actually very knowledgeable, or a Carl Pilkington, like a holy fool.
Oh
You
yeah.
speak truth, but couched in aimless comedy. You know,
Yeah, that's true.
it's what we need. Where's Derek these days?
He's busy doing other stuff, dad stuff.
Dead stuff?
Dad stuff. Yes, Derek's dead. He has passed on. And I just never brought it up because it's too sad.
So what other news have we got this week? There's
Oh,
go
uh,
ahead.
do you want, since you said holy fool and you want to talk about something hilarious
I
instead of
guess.
more bad news?
Sure.
So, you know what's one way you can trick AI into thinking you're older than you are if you're a little kid?
No, no.
You can draw a mustache on your face and you will trick the fucking age authenticators that AI uses using fucking face recognition.
Oh, that's cute.
So there's this kids in the state in the UK which are basically doing the modern version of two kids in a trench coat to get around age restrictions on stuff. So it's yeah, let me just I pulled up the article. Children are drawing mustaches on their faces to fool online age checks and it's working. So this place in the UK was like doing a study and they like talked to let me see 1,200 kids. So it's not that big of a study, but it's enough. 1,200 kids between 9 and 16 to see because apparently the UK has more online bullshit than we do. And they're just trying to probe to see if this like online legislation is given any like meaningful protection from the kids from,
Of
you know,
course, it's
doing
not really, that's not the purpose of the legislation.
yeah, yeah, they're
I
trying to
know
like
we're supposed to think it is, but that's not the purpose of the legislation. But I'm very encouraged to hear this because because I work in a bar and there are kids that'll walk in and they've drawn mustaches on their faces and I see right through that
yeah.
immediately. And I
Mm-hmm.
ID them and it turns out that they're, upwards of 11, 12, maybe 13 years old. Which
Yeah.
just, but now I can see that, and AI can't see that.
Yeah.
That just goes to prove my theory that I work in a bar.
It also goes to one of
So
my like secret theories is that AI isn't that great and people are just saying how it's going to ruin our lives and take all our
AI is
jobs.
definitely not that great. It's like
Yeah.
it's a search engine for most people,
Ooh,
and kind of a one that will actually
I think that
permit you
beer's
to not
spoiled.
do any like it'll give you a quite a fast answer that's fairly grammatically correct but
Oh,
no, here's my point is we're outside staring up at this ring around the sun, the dog's breath halo or whatever it's called,
yeah.
and I says to my wife, you know because she goes, well, what can we do? What can we, there's always the question, what can we do? And that's usually followed by, there's nothing we can do. And then we go back to,
You can
playing
stop looking at the sun. That's about
playing
it.
Scrabble on your phone.
Yeah.
Yeah, you stop caring. And I was like, honey, I'm saying this for years. You just eventually you hit a critical mass. The reason we're drenched in propaganda and PR is because they are actually scared of us. And
Oh,
well, they should be.
definitely.
Well, they should be because here's a great untapped resource of anger and worse. And no, they control is very important to them. So it's just what does it come down to? It just comes down to people like not living in a hallucination. But I says to her, says, you know, uh, here's the thing, those planes are being flown by people.
Yeah.
Those are humans at the controls. These are what we need to do is we need to figure out who these companies are, which you can do it. They're actually not that hard to find.
Yeah, there's flight
They,
trackers and
they,
stuff you can look up.
right, and they sort of operate in the shadows, but they also have websites. Like I've seen geoengineering websites. These are companies that spray the skies.
Yeah.
So you got to, figure out who they are, and then, and then you figure out who are the people flying these planes, and then you make sure that these companies are pursuing the correct diversity and inclusion programs, inclusivity programs. That's what I said to her. That's what we got to do, right?
Yeah.
That's how you change. That's how you want to make sure that your chemtrails, I mean, sorry, your geoengineering projects
Yeah.
are being equitably pursued by these companies that operate in the shadows. That's how you
Yeah.
do it. Sorry, I kind of lost my thread.
Yeah, me too. Well, yeah, so we started on online safety and stuff, and we ended up in chemtrails, which is only a matter of time. Um,
I know I've told you this story before, but it will always be precious to me. Having dinner in Vancouver on one of my rare visits to that Babylon, and hanging out with some people in the media and culture circles. And this was at a time of great panic in the world because Trump was gone, but he might come back, and all sorts of and the world was full of like truck drivers and things like that. And this person ranting at dinner about how we must stop people from radicalizing on YouTube.
they were doing a pretty good job of pe stopping people on YouTube at that point too.
Well, I said to her, I was like, "Who's gonna do that? You?"
Yeah.
And naturally, she responded, "Well, yes, because I'm right and good, and all my
Hmm.
opinions and positions on in the world are correct."
Yeah, I mean, if you're right and good, you have all the rights to make sure that people who don't agree with you don't get to share their opinion online.
Well, that's the thing, and
That's how it works.
that's why we want to exert some control over what people are seeing online. We want to stop children
Yeah,
from, I don't know, looking at
the truth.
Nancy Pelosi's titties, since you bring them up. You ever
Yeah.
seen that picture of a young Nancy Pelosi with JFK?
Yes, I did.
Yeah,
Yes,
and
I
you're
did.
like, of
Did
course
you
you
see
would.
that picture of old Nancy Pelosi on the beach? So
No,
awkward.
no, I didn't.
Giant fake cans on like a 70-something-year-old woman.
Terrible. Did
Beautiful
you?
work. It should the whoever did those should have that in his pamphlet as
I,
advertisement.
there's a series of photographs that I quite admire of Nancy Pelosi's gay husband being attacked by a schizophrenic Canadian gay lover with a hammer. Remember those ones? Remember
Well,
ones
I
that?
heard that he was a terrorist who hates whatever was popular at the time.
Yeah.
I never saw the pictures, but that was very suspect, that whole thing, because he was
You
like,
think
yeah, because he was talking to the guy, not like he was just some rando who busted onto the property, and he never put down his drink,
the
so he
guy's
never felt threatened.
the guy's kid just recently came out and said, "No, my dad was, being used for schizophrenic gay sex by the person of whom we speak." We got to be
Woof.
careful. We gotta circumvent the
It's too late.
online harms people.
Yeah, as you transcribe this meeting.
Yeah,
I mean, I'm sure the CIA will bring a written transcription to the court case, so we don't have to record it ourselves.
they probably would, but the problem with that is they might change things. They might.
Oh, that's true.
That's why I love it when people come to me and they say, "Hey, Adrian, why do people come to you?" No, they come to me and they say, why are you getting so upset about all of this? If you worried about surveillance, well, if you got nothing to hide, what's the big deal?" I love that. I love it when people say that.
Yeah, hey,
But
how
now,
about
now, now they might actually start to understand that, well, evidence can be fabricated.
well, that's the whole thing. Like the NSA used to just hoover up all of everybody's emails, not because they were looking for people's problems and like making sure everybody's on the straight and narrow. It's so that when they decided somebody was a problem, they could have access to everything and they could manipulate public opinion using little facts that nobody really cares about and just like glom them all together, and then you get like what's that fucking Gestalt or whatever, where the
Gestalt.
the whole is bigger than the sum of the parts or whatever, like synergy.
Excellent use of the word.
So, and also that's what AI is being used for. Because you think about that and you're like, that's not really a threat. Nobody's going to go through a year, like a lifetime of my emails. But now AI can do it in 10 minutes. So it's not like the people, like I used to be like that. I've got nothing to hide, which I probably shouldn't even say that from face value. But like, it's like, yeah, lots of people had nothing to hide until authoritarianism came in and they decided that they were just gonna, I don't know, kill everybody with a bachelor's degree. I have a bachelor degree. That's not something I want to hide, but you know what I mean? Like,
I don't think
turn
I do.
turns
I'm
out you
half.
have books in your house.
Yeah, I got a lot of books.
Authoritarian people hate that. What
I
if you
do.
have a
I've got.
book on
I have a
science?
lot of. I have a lot of books of interest.
Yeah.
I would be a person. I'm already a person of interest.
Yeah, you are.
But where are we going with this?
I don't know. Something about
Right.
like people saying that if you have nothing to hide, you shouldn't worry about being surveilled.
Yeah.
But it's also it's not your actions or your activities or like you didn't steal money from the bank. It's just your opinions that they're going to hold against you.
Have you ever heard of the Richard Albertini tapes?
Nope. This is why I love talking to you because you know all this old people shit that I don't.
Well, no, this is not. I am old, but this is something that this is new information for me. New information has come to light. New shit has come to
New
light.
is it new information to you but still something from over 30 years in the past?
See, sort of, I suppose. Yeah.
Because if it's from
I
over 30 years in the past, it's old people shit.
I think that the Richard Albertini tapes emerged in the early 2000s. I would need to
Oh,
double check.
okay.
There's a very good
It's not old people shit then.
there's a very good podcast that I recommend uh with full-throatedly.
No, it sounds so dirty. I know what you mean because I like to use that term too, full throated. But it just makes like sound like you're sucking dicks. Like someone says full throated, I'm like dick sucking, cool. I mean, I'm interested to hear a conspiracy theory, but now I'm just going to be thinking about dick sucking, and I don't
It's
know those two
inter
are going to meet up.
it's interesting you would bring that up because remember I'm not a fan of Quentin Tarantino's film cinema work,
I like
but
a couple of his.
I like Jackie Brown.
Oh, that's the worst
That
one.
that's the one you like when you don't care about Quentin Tarantino.
Pulp
And
Fiction
Death Proof.
and
I like Death Proof. He
oh,
hates that. Oh, Death Proof's great.
it's the worst one.
Yeah,
Pulp
but it's
Fiction
better
and
than all
Once
the
Upon a
others.
Time in L.A.
So in Pulp Fiction, I think it's Harvey Keitel who says has that line about, okay, now that we've all finished sucking each other's dicks, let's get to work or something like that, right?
Yeah.
So anyway, we're going to talk about Pulp Fiction because the Richard Albertini tapes, that this comes from a podcast that I've discovered that I want to recommend full-throatedly. It's called It's all about dick sucking. It's called Psyop Cinema. Now, I don't want you to be put off by the title. It's like if I called my podcast like Chemtrails Daily, you go, oh fuck. But you switch it on and it would be a complete waste of time listening to me talk about chemtrails. But
Every day, an update on chemtrails. Yeah, they're still doing it.
Psyop Cinema is different because they're actually really smart and very well informed, and they come at it from boy, this is interesting for me. They're coming at it from a very strict, devout Christian perspective.
Oh, that's cool.
Um,
I can fuck with that.
right. Well, these people were my enemies 30 years ago. Speaking of old people
Well,
shit,
see,
now
the
they
thing
now
is,
they are my friend.
for
But
me, I just want to clarify, like when people say devout Christian, I like when people are like that. Like I'm not necessarily Christian or
you
unchristian. I'm
know what you're
probably more
getting.
Gnostic. Yeah, and now at least not 20 years ago is different, but now when somebody says they're devout Christian in these harrowing times, they believe what they're saying.
That just means to me that's now someone who's simply grounded and who you can rely on.
Yeah,
You know,
and they
and
believe what they're saying. It's not
yeah.
like it used to be a grift. like 10, 20 years ago. There's
Yeah.
still like the prospect where or
But isn't it interesting how that has really receded? The
yeah,
grift, I'm sure it's still out there somewhere, but no, that's not what I encounter in my daily life anymore
yeah.
at all. That now I'm like I feel sort of safe around them.
Yeah, and it's also like it's it's them coming, it's a lot of the times it's people coming back from nihilism, from
Yeah.
like they don't care about anything. Like Russell Brand's a perfect example because he was like into drugs and sex, realized he was an addict, got over it, and then he was just like thought life was bleak because of the stuff he had done in the past, and then he realized that he can still reach salvation through Jesus Christ of
You think he's sincere?
yeah, I do. Because if he's not sincere, he's just going into the pits of despair. Like the stuff he did in the past, where he on record said he fucked a 16-year-old girl and said it was okay because it was legal where he did it, which we're not, morality and legality are two different things. But if you have a guy like that who did all this shit on drugs and all this stuff, and he's like talked about how he realized he was being manipulated through the use of drugs. I guess basically every famous actor ever who did drugs. And then so you go to this place where you lose your self-worth and you decide that the stuff that you did in the past was too big to overcome and like nothing but darkness in the future. And then you realize that this guy Jesus Christ is there and you're like, "Oh, hey, wait. I'm not a worthless person. I can redeem myself." So it's like it's almost like they're coming back to a situation where the future actually looks bright and hopeful. So it's like it kind of like reenacts this like, oh hey wait, everything is not lost. We can do good stuff. And it's almost like the born again Christian thing is actually a good thing because it gives people who were lost and probably wouldn't share whatever wisdom they have because they figure they're too mired in blackness, but they could still like pull gems from the past and give it to us on a new like Jesus platter type deal.
Yeah, I think that's great. Thank you, by the way, for introducing such brevity to the idea. But I, I think I agree. That's what I'm observing right now.
Yeah.
So these fellas on PsyOp Cinema, it's called. They're actually very good, and they do a journal, cultural engineering, uh, daily or something. You find it online. They're serious players and very very smart. So they've done a whole bunch of episodes on films of note. They did an excellent series that's ongoing actually on Oliver Stone, and they've kind of changed my mind a little bit about Oliver Stone. I have to say who
Pro
I
or negative?
oh positive. They're positive, and they point out the many 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 ways in which Oliver Stone, from their point of view, is compromised, and their larger thesis being that to get anywhere in Hollywood in cinema, it's just compromise all the way down. It's blackmail all the way
Oh yeah,
down.
otherwise you
The
don't get to
closer you
take the
are,
next step.
the closer you are to the top, obviously the worse it is. But I've been listening to an episode on this fellow Richard Albertini who worked at the Viper Room and found God and was born into a criminal family. Like I think he's pretty mobbed up. Um, and the tapes that I'm referring to concern a call that he made to Child Protection Services, which he recorded because he wanted to get it on the record. And I guess, understanding that nothing was going to come of the things that he was disclosing. But he's talking to this guy, and I'm not going to use names. I'm gonna because let's have some fun with your brother, who's our viewer, and this is this story concerns an actor who was in Pulp Fiction. I'm not going to say who, but he is now dead, recently dead. It's a small but vital role in Pulp Fiction. He dies in Pulp Fiction too, this character. This is an actor recently dead, very well known to have like serious addiction issues, but for some reason was kind of lionized, kind of elevated, thought to be like a very important, especially in the 90s. And his whole story, his whole narrative was like his struggle with his issues, but how he would, turn up once in a while and give this great performance. So the story Richard Albertini tells is of being
Fuck.
called by this guy along with someone else to his apartment in West Hollywood or whatever, and arriving there and finding that he's standing there with a gun. There's a dead Mexican in the room. His brains are splattered all over the wall, and this actor who is wants them to see he's eating the brains. And then he says, "You got to help me move this body." And they got to move the body to a film set. There was a film that was being made at the time starring, okay, how do we say this now? A very, very famous, like A-list actor who has been good in some things and had a bit of a career revival recently because he impersonated Donald Trump. But he's known to be in real life something of a hothead and a bully, if not worse. And also, he's a murderer.
I know this one. I
Yeah.
didn't get the first one, but I got that one. Anyways,
Yeah. So this has got to be delivered to the set of a film that he's working on, produced by a woman who has a very suspect filmography. And anyway, so this is Albertini confessing on tape. So I would urge you to listen to this thing.
why did
It
he call Child Protective Services? I was waiting for the kid to show up in the
So
story.
yeah, so I'm still listening to it, so I'm not
Okay.
quite sure yet. But and it's interesting listening to this phone call because it has the ring of truth, and the guy on the other end of the line, the official, behaves like someone who doesn't quite know what to do with what he's hearing,
Okay, so let me just backtrack a sec for when you said the Mexican in the hotel room. Is this like a day labor illegal Mexican or like a guy from Mexico?
I recall that it was like some sort of not narco, but like some whatever low level fucking Mexican whatever dealer or something. That's
Okay.
That's
So, and
what I remember.
the famous guy who was eating the brains, he wasn't the guy who shot him?
Oh yeah, he shot him.
Okay, but
So
so,
so
and
so
then,
what Albertini is getting at is that this was a ritual that he was forced to go through in order to prove himself,
oh,
and this was going to guarantee
race to
his
stardom.
his success, which followed shortly afterwards, like quite precipitous.
Is John
And then
Travolta
and then
dead?
and then not long after that, this very similar tale shows up in the movie Pulp Fiction. The guy gets shot in the head, and
Oh, yeah, yeah,
they have to
yeah.
bring in Harvey Keitel to clean it up, and Mr. Wolf or whatever. And anyway,
It's
it's all.
it's funny because you said that this guy died or whatever, and he was like a big star or whatever. And Pulp Fiction is like one of the things that actually relaunched John Travolta's acting career because
Mm.
people saw that he could be dramatic and stuff, and he wasn't just the fucking guy from Saturday Night Fever or Look Who's Talking, which also had Bruce Willis in it. But anyways, so is Bruce Willis dead? I'm just trying to figure out which actor from Pulp Fiction died, and
Bruce
it's just
Willis is on death's door, I gather.
yeah, which nobody talks about how he sold his rights to Russia to make movies using AI. So when do we
Really?
get all the yeah, he's when
I
he
know
got
Val Kilmer
dementia.
is being recreated right
Yeah.
now.
So when Bruce Willis like realized that he had like whatever is it Jillian Bar I don't know what syndrome he has.
Yeah, it's a vaccine injury, let's say it.
Okay, I wasn't gonna say that, but I don't know. But he's like got super dementia or whatever he has and he can't act anymore. He sold the rights to like basically his face and stuff to a Russian like AI company. And this was weird because this was earlier than like this was before AI. Like when we heard about it, it was just he sold them to a company that did CGI and you're like, "Well, I guess that's okay." But my question is, when do we get new Bruce Willis movies using AI? Come on.
Hmm.
But
Yeah, I'm pretty eager to see Hudson Hawk too.
dude,
Uh,
yeah. I love Hudson. You know what I think of?
you love
When
Hudson Hawk, don't
no, I
you?
don't love it, but I fully respect his dedication to getting a cappuccino. Now that I love cappuccinos, every time I have one, I was like, drink every time I drink a cappuccino, and I was like, this makes Hudson Hawk more relatable. Because when Hudson Hawk came out, nobody knew what the fuck cappuccino was unless you were like one of the upper crusters. So it's
I knew it,
almost like
cappuccino.
Well, you're an upper crusser
No,
apparently, since
actually,
you
no.
know famous people.
I'm a working class kid from the UK, and if you were listening to the Jam or the Style Council, Paul Weller was introducing you to coffee culture. They had a guy who wrote their liner notes called the Cappuccino Kid. It was actually the NME journalist Paolo Hewitt.
Yeah, nice.
But Psyop Cinema,
Yeah.
highly recommended.
You know what it would
Highly
be
recommended.
cool? If you get like a watch list of like the biggest psyop movies or whatever, and then just like brainwash yourself.
Yeah, they did. They do a great episode on Tony Scott's Enemy of the State. Tony Scott was, it wasn't even a secret. He was absolutely working with the military industrial intelligence Hollywood DC. He was a player for sure. I mean, everything
Oh
Tony
yeah.
Scott did was touched by intelligence. And then what did he do? He threw himself off a bridge.
Oh,
Why?
crazy. Well,
Why?
because I mean,
I mean,
uh,
did he really throw himself off the bridge? And if he did throw himself off the bridge, it's because he was like just reckoning with his conscience.
because somebody's hands just recently let go of him.
Well, they do a good episode on that. I can't remember the name of Gary DeVore, the intelligence connected screenwriter who was found at the bottom of a lake with his hands cut off, and they called it suicide.
Well, I mean, if I'm gonna commit suicide, I'm gonna cut my hands off before I jump in the lake, so I for sure drown. Because if you don't have hands, you can't save yourself into panic mode right before you die and swim to safety. There you
And I
go.
believe I believe the story is he was working on a screenplay which was telling the truth about the U.S. intervention in Panama, which was very, very grim, very
Ooh.
grim. But
Yeah.
yeah, so he kind of turned on his masters a little bit. Was started talking too loudly.
So like you look at like history, like US intervention history, and it's like you look at what they're doing right now with social media on them and what Israel did in Gaza and what Israel's currently doing in Lebanon, and we can like see it on full display. I can't even imagine the fucking horrors they did before TikTok. Um, I wanted to go back a sec because we're talking about how powerful people are and stuff. And that reminded me of a segue into talking about something else that I didn't give you in the notes, but it's how super famous acts are having to cancel their tours. Like Megan Trainor did, and who the I wrote it. A good thing I wrote this down because I just blanked on his name. Post Malone. He had to cancel a whole bunch of dates, and then like Kid Cudi and stuff. And it's basically like because Taylor Swift kind of ruined the touring industry because her tickets were so fucking expensive and people still paid for them that other people saw this and they're like, well, I could make $1 billion with a tour. And then they made all their prices high. And then Trump went and did something with the fucking oil that made everybody poor in the Middle East, which I don't understand. Like, I kind of understand how we're all poor and how
Yeah.
everything costs twice as much just because he touched some fucking country over there. But anyway, so now
In
nobody has
Canada,
money.
we're poor because we have a government that's liquidating the country, but that's a
That's
whole
true.
other episode.
So basically, nobody can afford to go to these shows, and all these famous people are like having to cancel them. But another thing, too, was an interesting theory is called the no one's listening theory. I saw this is me just explaining a TikTok I saw basically. So what
Yeah.
happens is with Spotify, they like and like streaming in general, it's like artists get paid by click counts, and
Yeah.
then so they make a whole bunch of money, and then they'll see like they'll have like 1 billion views or whatever, and they'll be like, holy fuck, 1 billion people watched us, we got to go on tour, we got to cash in. But what's actually happening is it's like it's almost like the Muzak version, like it's playing in like gyms and malls and stuff where people aren't like paying attention to it, but the click counts are still going up.
Yeah.
Like so they're playing all these places. So you have someone like Post Malone, who he's a bad example because he actually is legitimately popular, but he hasn't been popular for a while. But or like Megan Trainor, she like had All About the Bass song, and
Yeah.
basically nobody's fucking heard about her. But
Yeah.
then she has a new album out, which is probably getting a lot of plays, but it's getting plays because it's being pushed. And so it looks like these people are like really popular and stuff, but they're not. So they're not getting ticket sales. and it's also called blue dot fever. It's like one of the nicknames for us because people will go to they'll go to look at what tickets are for sale, and the blue dot on the seat means it's still available, and it'll just be like the stadium will be awash with blue dots.
Right.
But this is almost ironic, and I was thinking about this today, like before we started potting, because you and me are old. Let's just face it. So we've been around since physical media and gatekeeping, and like you said, people who are famous in Hollywood are compromised and stuff because you couldn't get there without gatekeepers. Because you would like there was all these doors you had to go through, and you could only go through if somebody saw you shoot a Mexican and eat his brain, apparently, and then you could be an actor. And that used to be what gatekeeping was, but now gatekeeping is Megan Trainor's new album getting played at all these gyms, like workout gyms and stuff. But it's like, how is Megan Trainor getting paid? Because that's how the new version of the gatekeeper is almost like the style selectors or the people who shape culture by picking like what you see on TV and stuff. But now they're just like picking playlists that people in like gyms are playing and stuff.
Very interesting.
Yeah. So we'll never just
The only thing I have to add is you said that Taylor Swift ruined touring, but I'll go
because
you one further.
she was too successful. She made too much
She
money
ruined
because
music. She ruined music. She ruined everything.
wow,
I've
I'm
seen
not
my
going to
son.
say that because Shake It Off is a fucking banger.
No,
Although,
it's not. Although I can understand why you would think that because you were told that relentlessly.
well, you know what my opinion of Taylor Swift is? When
No.
she came out and she started getting popular, I was like, this is just a new Pink, which is just another Avril Lavigne. I don't understand why this is more popular than Avril Lavigne.
Hmm.
Because, like, Avril Lavigne had that You Should Be My Boyfriend song, which was also a banger. Like,
Yeah.
these
No, it
people, they
wasn't.
have songs that I actually like, one or two of.
No, no, you don't like it.
Yeah, I do. I could say that. I just don't get how they're so famous and how people just. I don't understand how people like this stuff that much.
Yeah, they don't.
And it's like they're just being told. So long story short is whose dick do I gotta suck to get this fucking podcast on the Gatekeepers playlist?
And with that,
You want to end it there?
I got it. Yeah, I got to
I
take my dogs for a walk, and then I got to go do my 11-hour shift at the bar.
11 hours? Look
Yeah,
at you. You are working class.
yeah.
You know what I
Fuck
gotta
yeah.
do?
I've tasted both worlds. I've been in, I've been part of the professional world, and
There we
now
go with the dick sucking references again. Tasted
now
both worlds.
look, I may be old, but my mind is open.
I may be old, but I can still suck dicks. Put this
That's right.
podcast on your playlist. Guess what I'm gonna go do? I'm
My
gonna go.
mouth still works.
In fact, it's just looser and better. Let's go.
Okay, I gotta go.
All right. Until next time, keep
Yeah,
sucking dick.
stay. What do you got to say? Stay angry. Stay
Stay angry.
livid. Stay okay.
But I
Stay
don't think
stay
anybody's not angry.
apoplectic. Stay
Ooh,
apoplectic.
I like it.
Stay perplexed.